All right, and we are live for another episode here of the Affordable Homeownership Roundtable, and I'm super excited about this conversation this week because we're going to talk about a company that 25 years ago identified some of the challenges that were happening in primarily African American community, right? Minority communities, and sort of the challenges with home ownership, primarily around financial education, and kind of how we backed into this conversation. And we've had a lot of these conversations, and there's a lot of reasons to unpack why low to moderate income and minority families have that there are disproportionate levels of home ownership, but really I think financial education is at the absolute core of it. And whether it's society or cultural, we're all in this together, and it's all of our responsibility. And we've been talking about HomeFree-USA for a while. Phil's a big cheerleader, and he was telling us about their financial education or homebuyer education course that over the last 5 years they have graduated 8,900 students, with 96% of them becoming homeowners with zero foreclosures in the last 5 years. And that is huge. I mean, that's an astronomical number. So Phil, you brought this to the table. You're the resident expert here. I want to go ahead and let you kick it off and tell us about this amazing organization and how they got started and how we can support them.
Yes, of course. And thanks, Scott, and to the team for your attentiveness on this issue. I know you all have very similar concerns about distributing services to the underserved population of America. We are in a unique environment. Let me just, rather than go there for the moment, let me talk about the positive things that are, some of the positive things that are underway. I am a proud board member of the company called HomeFree-USA. I'm going to explain that entity and a little bit more about what it does to provide some value-added benefit to the diverse communities of America and almost every city in America. So I joined the board 15 years ago. It was founded by a husband and wife team by Marcia and Jim Griffin in just outside of Washington, D.C. And Jim and Marcia primarily recognizing that there really was no crystallized method of persuading the diverse community of America, primarily in their sector, the African American community, how to get to a point where you earn generational wealth through home ownership. And they structured this company recognizing this need across America, and they named it HomeFree-USA. And the purpose was to teach the underserved communities of America how to become homeowners by doing the right thing. And when I say homeowners, I mean own your home free and clear by doing the right thing for, in your life, by budgeting, planning, forecasting, mentoring, and making the tough choices to stay on the course and use that as a religion for how to get to a point in your life where you owned your home free and clear. That really evolved to a point where they recognized that, my God, there was so much education necessary in America, and they have made steps and plateaus and new chapters of this company, HomeFree-USA, along a very storied path. But I'll just give you some of those real benchmark things that they do. It is now grown to an organization that has 57 affiliate organizations across the different parts of the U.S. They are able to touch every city in America. I'll come back to that in a minute. But it's the same thing. It's, they've evolved to a point where it's not just how do we teach homeownership preparedness and sustainability in homeownership. That is just desperately important in those communities. And they also, though, have evolved to a point where they are a premier provider of services for consumers that are in distress. So consumers that are having difficulty making their rent payment or their house payment, they are a real solid, effective organization to provide that grassroots and gut-wrenching work in those diverse communities to provide a trusted resource for consumers to provide the interface and the connection to entities where HomeFree-USA can be the liaison to the mortgage servicing entities and sometimes to the landlords to bridge the gap and find a soft landing for these consumers in distress. It is that part of their company is a gut-wrenching part of America. It's challenging and difficult, and it takes hand-to-hand control, and it's hand-to-hand combat. It's digging through the difficulties of the lack of trust and the everything that's a barrier to providing solutions to these consumers in distress. They're really good at it. But more importantly, maybe I should say as importantly, as Scott mentioned before, they have perfected, if there is such a thing, they have perfected the process of teaching and mentoring and coaching and providing the sizzle to consumers of color that really, really, really want to be homeowners. And they put them in this homeownership preparedness program that is a curriculum. And if these consumers sign up and they're diligent and vigilant and they want to be on this crusade to actually get to the goal line, HomeFree-USA enrolls these consumers in this program, and it is extraordinarily rigorous. It's not for the faint of heart, because they do put people through extraordinary paces to track them weekly about their progress in terms of their budgets and their planning and their sources of income, their obligations, their assets, their employment and prospects for maintaining their job or growing into a better employment opportunity. And they literally put these people through the mentoring necessary to get them to graduate from this homeownership preparedness program and get them referred to the lenders of, many different lenders in America. They don't have a particular lender, but they have, hundreds of lenders that they do business with. And as Scott mentioned, over the last 5 years, nearly 9,000 people have come through the homeownership preparedness program. 98% of them have graduated to own a home. And of those, zero foreclosures in the last 5 years, which is just a remarkable story. And it takes incredible diligence to get there and incredible diligence to retain and sustain that kind of process. One of the victories that has come from that, HomeFree-USA has recently, because of this pandemic, because of the roughly 20 million people that were behind in their rent or their mortgage payments, having difficulty, they lost their jobs, they were in government-induced unemployment, all kinds of stress on America. HomeFree-USA approached the National League of Cities, the organization that represents the 19,000 more progressive cities in America, and approached them about providing, services to the 19,000 cities to help them design programs to help their constituents. So those that are in distress, those that need homeownership counseling and preparedness, those that where the cities actually need to rehabilitate property and actually present single family homes available for cities of America. HomeFree-USA has a new in the last 6 years, a new development company that does single family rehabilitation in many of these cities in America, and they're really good at it. The point is that the National League of Cities, after doing a great deal of due diligence, named HomeFree-USA as their preferred provider of these services for the 19,000 cities in America. And they are, the reason they're not on the call with us today is because they are flat inundated with the meeting that constituency need in the grassroots local markets of America. I didn't want to pull them away from, the intersection with all these different cities. And as you know, the cities of America have received a few $100 billion of appropriation from the CARES Act, the American Rescue Fund, and also from what's coming in the infrastructure bill in America. And HomeFree-USA is built to help provide a real solution for these consumers or for these cities in America. I might also add that one of the other things that's just fabulous about this organization, 6 years ago, they decided that the one way to change the paradigm in the Black communities of America, and it's true for Hispanic and Asian and other communities as well, they established a program, a full-scale annual curriculum that they built for financial empowerment, education and planning, etc., and teaching and mentoring in some of the historically Black colleges and universities. They're now up to 11 of them. There are 104 of the HBCUs across America. This program is a full annual curriculum that students enroll in. It is managed by HomeFree-USA, but sponsored and approved by the universities. The college kids get credit for these towards their graduation. And it is a full year curriculum of teaching people how to budget, how to plan, how to get financially prepared for when you graduate to become a homeowner, and what does it take? What does it take to be sustainable, et cetera, et cetera. The other part of it is they have engaged with about 25 different financial institutions in America to cross-fertilize these young students. And by the way, there are juniors and seniors at these HBCUs, and they find internships for these kids that are in that high-profile environment that want to find career paths in financial services in America. That's the only way we're ever going to really change this paradigm, is to get people to really understand the opportunities that are available and put more culturally sensitive people into this into the mainstream. The reason this is such an important thing for all cities in America, this program is portable to any college and any university. It isn't exclusive to just the HBCUs, because as you all know, and we all know, there are more Black students at the University of Michigan or the University of Southern California or the University of Texas or others, just traditional main colleges in America that could utilize this program just as well. I know I'm an advocate. I know I'm a cheerleader. I know I'm a fan of HomeFree-USA because I believe it's an organization that just does the right thing, trying to bridge that gap and lift the boats of the population that needs it the most. And I'll just stop there and see if we can any questions or dialogue about it.
Yeah,
Phil, Scott, I don't know if you have any questions, but Phil, the thing that was jumping out to me, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac both have homebuyer education. It's required on some of their entry-level programs. For the most part, it's not terrible, and no one's going to be worse off for having gone through it. But I also don't know that there's any major improvement in outcomes for those buyers that have gone through it. So maybe compare and contrast what HomeFree is doing to help consumers through their education and preparation that makes it to the point where they haven't lost a single home to foreclosure yet.
Well, great question, Josh. And one of the differences is, and by the way, I might add, it's the same kind of thing in some of the state housing finance agencies and in some of the CDFIs and in FHA and in occasional rural housing programs. It's very similar. Many of these programs are what I would call online tutorial processes for financial education and counseling. it's a check the box exercise. I don't mean to imply here that people aren't, they're not going to be worse off by doing that exercise, but it is not a tutorial process that is hand-holding, in their face, teaching, coaching, mentoring, and driving these people to a weekly process of reporting on their progress, giving them explanation and tools. And I might add a little pitch here for Brian View. HomeFree-USA is beginning the utilization of FinLocker, because they know that tool is one of those tools that they can use every day to monitor the progress of these consumers. It's hard to do it when you're just doing it by phone or by Zoom or whatever else. But if you can actually get access to the data, it's so much easier to really drive these people towards and keep them on the right path. The other tutorial exercises are, I don't mean to imply here a negative. I don't want this to sound negative, but they're more check the box exercise. Did you complete this online, curriculum? And it's, no one's going to coach them. No one's going to, do a hand-holding exercise with them week by week. But that is the difference between HomeFree-USA and some of these other online resources.
So I'm glad you brought that up, Josh, because that's exactly what I was thinking. The other challenge about that, because you're right, it's multiple choice. Should you make your payments on time? Yes, no, maybe. Right? It's like, it's maybe it's not that simple. But the other part of it is that testing is sort of a hurdle after somebody is already applying for a mortgage. And the challenge has always been that there isn't this financial education prior to somebody thinking about buying a home, so they're not preparing properly. And you're right, it's not in schools. So the fact that HomeFree-USA created this curriculum that's been adopted by the HBCUs, which is amazing, and hopefully that's just the start. But part of what we're doing here, and the reason we're having this conversation in public and on YouTube and on Facebook, is if you're an administrator in a college, if you know somebody that's an administrator in a college, these are the kinds of courses that you should be bringing in and you should be adopting, because it's proven. Another thing that I wanted to kind of touch on a little bit that you had mentioned earlier, Phil, the Fannie Mae, the HUD approved, the check the box education, you have 25 questions and you get a certificate, and that satisfies the lender's requirement for that particular program. But this homeownership preparation course is not a 10-step process, right? This is, we are going to work with you until you have figured out your budget and you've stuck to your budget. It's an ongoing process, isn't it?
It is. And frankly, when they get enrolled, consumers get enrolled in the homeownership preparedness program at HomeFree-USA, they tell them up front, if you want to graduate from this and you want to become a homeowner, this is going to be hard and rigorous, and it's painstaking, and it's going to require your diligence as much as our diligence. But once you enroll in this, you are going to get your hand held every week until you get through this process, to a point where if it takes a year and a half for you to pay off certain obligations, correct your payment habits on other obligations, pay down things that are just non-essential parts of your life, frivolous things that just don't add value to, you becoming a homeowner and sustainably owning a home. And they also teach people the value of setting up these reserve accounts that where a consumer will have money in reserve for the thing that's going to happen to your home when you become a homeowner. And that's part of this process too. And when I talk about no foreclosures, part of that is really the big reason that there are no foreclosures. People have 3 months of reserves that are, pounded on them for 18 months or 2 years to get those reserves and put them in pledged accounts where they actually, these are only used for the high risk issues where, my roof leaks, my furnace blew up, I'm temporarily out of my job for a setback for injury or something like that. And, it's a rigorous process. It isn't a check the box online, okay, I did that, get me my certificate and I'll move on. That's not what this is.
So the link that I'm showing here is a link to FinLocker. It's free for any consumer, and it's a framework for creating and monitoring your budgets. It is not the intense program that HomeFree-USA is, but it sounds like HomeFree-USA has recognized that this is a valuable financial technology tool that is going to assist and kind of handhold consumers through this. One of the things I wanted to bring up, Phil, because kind of one of the reasons that part of why we are even here today is Josh and I have this effort at findmywayhome.com. And we have been, there's two things that we're trying to do. We're trying to bring awareness and educate consumers and really kind of teach them the difference between finding somebody that actually wants to teach them financial literacy, prepare to buy a home, and some of these lead generation and call center companies that are just trying to run people through this loan mill, not really caring that much about them. But the other part of what we're really passionate about is empowering our community of loan officers that are dealing with consumers. And what types of resources, if there are loan officers out there or real estate agents that are out there that are a big part of mine and Josh's social networks and sort of our circle of influence, what kind of things can they do? Can they reach out to HomeFree-USA? Can they partner with HomeFree-USA? Can they help promote these programs to their prospective homeowners and help guide them into some of these programs? Is that accessible?
Yes, it is. I might just say that, the first step for most of those people that are, they're on that, that track. They know they want to be a homeowner. They just, they just don't know where to start and how to go about the next phase of process. I know this sounds like a politically paid ad, but it is. But I would have them enroll in FinLocker as the very first step, because all things that are in, I don't call this financial literacy. I call it financial empowerment, because that is really what this is. It's giving the people the tools so they can coach themselves into a process where they understand, and all the tutorials that they will ever need, the online tutorials of coaching. What is a mortgage? What is an annual percentage rate? What is what is a credit score? All those things are in the FinLocker tutorial process, and the helpful tools along that. If they need that special hand-holding encouragement, and not everybody needs that. Some people are just they just need organizational skill process, and how do I set up a budget and a plan, and I'll stick to it. I don't need someone to coach me. There are so many other people that actually need that real desperate hand-holding, and I won't stay on my course unless somebody is mentoring me. Those people might need HomeFree-USA, and I would encourage them to dig in, contact HomeFree-USA, and jump into the process, because they will hold your hand to a point where they will get you to graduate. The other 90% of the population that feels like they can get there, they just need the tools. In my opinion, that's just getting to a FinLocker is the right thing to do. And I might just also mention, anybody that gets in the domain at HomeFree-USA is also going to get a free membership, lifetime membership in the America's Homeowner Alliance. I know that's one of the things that we're doing here. And the same thing, when you get inculcated in FinLocker, we're gonna get that figured out as well, about a free lifetime membership in the AHA. But that's the way I would start if I were a consumer.
Hey,
Yeah,
Scott,
and oh, go
sorry,
ahead.
I was just going to acknowledge another group of people that I think could really benefit not only from this tool, but also from a financial fitness application like the FinLocker tool, which that's super cool. FinLocker is super generous, and FinLocker has also helped this group of consumers that I'm about to talk about, which are people that were able to get a mortgage but don't understand how it works or what it is or how to get back on their feet after a COVID forbearance or other things like that. Because, a lot of us for one reason or another, we were able to get into that product. We were able to get into a home, but it doesn't mean we understand it. Yeah. And, so many of the people that I've, walked with on my path are humans in exactly that same scenario, because pre-COVID-19, the average American homeowner only had a payment and a half, a mortgage payment and a half in their savings account, in these reserve accounts that that everyone's talking about here. And so if you're a human that has a mortgage, this might also be a program for you. And certainly an application like the FinLocker application is so beneficial in kind of seeing everything in one place, to know what you can do to improve your overall financial fitness, so that you can be ready for one of those life events that PS happen to everyone. Yeah. Whether they lose a job or a partner or a roof or a whatever, right? That doesn't make you weird or alone. It's in those moments that I think that when you say, wow, this happened to me, that you'll find that there's 6 other people that will say, yeah, me too.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to look at it as financial guardrails, and they're going to kind of guide you through the process in sort of a self-guiding way as well. But they're just going to keep you on track. If you go off track a little bit, there's a guardrail there to stop you and keep you pointed in the right direction. Okay, well, we're coming up on the bottom of the hour. This has been very, very valuable. Does anybody else have any input? I think we can all agree that financial education is the key to empowering disenfranchised consumers. And to Courtney's point, a lot of people that are in a place in their life that they happen to qualify for a mortgage, but they don't know how they did it, and they don't necessarily know what that means. But there's a lot of folks out there that just are not hearing these conversations or getting this guidance and getting pointed in the right direction, and have a guide. So anyone else?
Yeah, Scott, I'll just mention one thing. I'm so glad that Courtney mentioned, just think of all there are 75 million homeowners in America, right? When you think about the consumers that are in homes right now, not aspiring homeowners or people in distress, I'm talking about people that are in their homes. So many of those people they also lack the budgeting and planning and forecasting and the ability to just set themselves up for, a real smooth process for the bumps and grinds that are going to come in their life. It's not impossible to smooth out those speed bumps, but you've got to have a plan to do that. And I would encourage anyone who has a mortgage, those that are aspiring to be homeowners for sure, but anyone who has a mortgage, to enroll in a FinLocker and use it as the tool to set that stage for your life for those those bumps that are going to come.
A comment that I would like to throw in. We're talking about a group that specifically is helping educate Black Americans to successfully achieve the goal of homeownership. I talk to a lot of first-time home buyers, and a couple of things that they say that always kind of throw me for a loop. Hey, I don't know anything. I want to buy a home. I don't know what that means. I don't know where I start. I don't know anything. So don't think I'm dumb. No one thinks you're dumb. We want to educate you, but the reality is most mortgage professionals are not going to educate you. They're going to give you enough information to finish the transaction so that they can make a commission. I'm not saying that they're only profit generated. Our structure is not set up to provide that level of education. I educate as much as I can, and I still say it's nowhere near what a group like this is doing. So if you're a first-time home buyer and you want to successfully and confidently go through the process, something like this is incredibly valuable. And then the last thing I would say is, I also get the question is, okay, I just need you to tell me how much I can afford. I have no idea as a loan originator what you can afford. I can tell you what the guidelines say you qualify for, but until you do the work, either with FinLocker or going through an educational program like this, you don't know what you can afford for the most part. So we need to do the work so that we know what can I reasonably afford? What do I need to have set aside? What does this process look like, and what does it actually mean? Because it's not enough just to become a homeowner. In the past, what government policy has done is said, hey, homeownership is good. Let's lower the bars to homeownership. And you end up hurting a lot of people because they're not equipped to buy successfully and become a successful homeowner. So instead of lowering the bar, let's raise the boat that everyone's in and give them the knowledge and skills and ability they need to become successful homeowners, because it is critical for building wealth, building your financial future, and eventually owning your home free and clear so you can retire on a fixed income, which nearly all of us, other than the millionaires and billionaires, end up at that point. So that was all I wanted to say.
Yep. I love it.
Fantastic. So I want to thank everybody for being here and listening to us today. Part of the reason we do this is we want you to go to myaha.com/join. You can get a free lifetime membership to the America's Homeownership Alliance, America's Homeowner Alliance. I don't want to screw that up. myaha.com. This is a community of people that are here to help support homeownership. And we do a lot of, or Phil and Tino, we do a lot of pushback against bad policy that hurts homeowners and home buyers. And then finally, all of you here, we had Sophia wanted to chime in and say hello. She's watching us from Portugal today. So that's fantastic. And we appreciate you being here, Sophia. We hope that we're not only reaching Portugal, but as many folks as we can with these important messages. So thank you, everybody, for being here. And that's it for this week. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.